George Washington and the role of the President. The office of President of the United States under the United States Constitution was entirely new. Nothing like it had ever existed before. And so when George Washington took the oath of office in April 1789, he had questions. So President Washington consulted with his Vice President, John Adams, with the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, John Jay, and the Secretary of Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, about how the President should behave. Washington asked for their response to a series of written questions. Here are just a few of the questions Washington asked. Should the President adopt an insulated, almost isolated relationship from the general public? What would be the least objectionable way for a president to act? Should the president grant formal audiences as a king or pope would do? How should it be determined who dines with the president? Can he invite whoever he wants, or must the public be invited to each and every time he eats, since the president is a public servant? Should the president sponsor public celebrations, such as the 4th of July, or should some other agency do it? Should the president, as a matter of routine, tour the country to learn useful information and to receive political advice? All of these ideas were new, and Washington was concerned about what the appropriate role of the president should be. Alexander Hamilton responded, echoing the feelings of Vice President Adams and Chief Justice Jay. Hamilton wrote, quote, "Men's minds are prepared for pretty high tone in the demeanor of the executive, the president, but I doubt whether for so high a one as might be desirable. The notions of equality are too general and too strong," unquote. This met Washington's belief as well. So as a result, Washington tried to balance the notions of equality and the idea of making the president lofty and respectable. For example, Washington did not accept private invitations for dinner. He invited people to join him for dinner. He never shook hands, but Washington did bow respectfully to his guests. And at the dinner table, no one talked unless first addressed by Washington. Washington set many traditions for the presidency, and this was one, that the president should be a representative of the people, but also somehow the best of all the people. In the 1960s, Nobel Prize-winning novelist John Steinbeck wrote a book called America and Americans. And he summarized this idea of Washington's in a few memorable words. Steinbeck wrote, "The Americans want their president to be, quote, a common candidate, but an uncommon leader," unquote.